Fred Neil. This is somebody that you may not have heard of, but you definitely have heard one of his songs. Not necessarily this one. We're going to take a look at the Dolphins, which is from his 1967 album, Fred Neil, but it was re-released in 1969 because of a huge hit by Harry Nilsson called Everybody's Talkin', that was, of course, tied to the movie Midnight Cowboy, and which Fred wrote. So, Fred wrote Everybody's Talkin'. A lesson for another time. But in this one we're going to talk about the Dolphins. And what I want you to do first is, I'm going to play it for you in the next segment. We're going to do this as an ear training lesson, so don't look at the music yet, okay? Because there are only a few chords and some variations and modifications of some fairly standard chords. So what I want you to do is listen to the recording. You can find it at YouTube. In the forum post we'll put up about this, there'll be one. But find the studio recording from Fred Neil's album, Fred Neil, or Everybody's Talkin'. It's the first cut on both of those, I believe. At least it is on Fred Neil. I'm not sure about the other one. Anyway, and pay attention to the chord changes and notes you hear changing among the chords. Again, there are only a few chords, not a lot going on, but some major little changes to each one. Also, the rhythm. Figure out what time it's in. It's a little deceiving at first because you can't hear the guitar strumming very distinctly, but once he starts singing, you'll get it. So figure out the timing, what time signature it's in, and then do a standard strum for that pattern, but also listen, I believe it's before the second verse starts, when he finishes the first chorus. You hear a slightly syncopated version of the same strum. See if you can figure out what that's. I'll talk about that in the next segment as I play through it. Okay, so that's it. This is going to be an ear training lesson on Fred Neil's The Dolphins. Oh, did I talk about notable? I don't think I mentioned it. Some notable covers out there that you might want to check out. Tim Buckley did it at a lot of his live performances. It was on one of his albums, can't remember right now. And Linda Ronstadt, too. So you Linda Ronstadt fans, of which I have to be included, you can probably track down her version as well, and maybe notice some differences, but well, okay, beyond the scope of this lesson. Anyway, that's what's going on in this lesson. Coming up next, I will play through it and just want you to listen and see if you can figure out what is going on in the Dolphins. So just to get started, I'm going to play a chord that hopefully you can identify. I'll tell you what it is in just a second. And, but you probably already know by now. A couple of clues in there. Notice there were a lot of strings played. Also, here is what we hear in the timing of the Dolphins. Now that's a very standard strum in a fairly standard time signature. We also then later hear this. That was a couple of bits and pieces of a segment of a lesson I put together on Fred Neil's The Dolphins. Now, I do some lessons like this at TotallyGuitars, where the whole point is to work on ear training. So, yes, I will cover up my hand for a little while, and it's not because I don't want you to learn the song. It's because I want you to learn how to listen to the song. And that's what we talk about in there, is paying attention to what's happening on the guitar and being able to figure it out on your own. This is a fairly simple song, only uses a couple of chords. And that's the way the lesson progresses. This is, of course, part of the Target program, which is our monthly subscription program, also available for an individual purchase. Our Target program has over 600 lessons in it now that cover all kinds of stuff. A lot of ear training lessons like this. So that's it. There are also a lot of 60 or so free lessons to get you started on some simple things. Now this song is very simple, relatively simple in terms of playing, but if you'd like to check out the lesson on the Dolphins or any of the other lessons that we have at Totally Guitars, all you have to do is come visit us.